I'm getting like half a headshot. There he is.
Hey, and we are live. Welcome, everybody. This is Hump Day Hangouts. Today is the 5th of July, day after the 4th. For those of us in the U.S., hopefully everybody's safe and didn't blow off their hands or anything with fireworks. We're going to go through real quick and say hello to everybody. Hernan, did you get a chance to play with fireworks? Or?
No, but I did get a chance to fix the camera, which is pretty cool. So here I am. Hey guys, what's up? No fireworks, just busy working a lot yesterday. So it was a great day anyways. So I'm excited to be here.
All the fireworks are at the start of Hump Day Hangouts anyways. So
yeah.
Hey-o. All right, well, we're going to go through the introductions, and then I'll let Bradley introduce our special guest, who we're really happy to have come on. This is something we haven't really done before, is having somebody coming on the Hump Day Hangout, so we're really excited about this. But Chris, how you doing?
Doing good. Excited to be here.
Awesome. Marco, how's the weather down there?
It's raining, but it's nice and warm. I'm in the lab, and I have an NDA with myself, so I can't really talk.
That's pretty hardcore.
You're not allowed to think about the shit you're working on, because if you do, then you're in breach of contract, right? So
correct.
Awesome. Well, let's see. I am enjoying some cooler weather. I was just in Memphis, and man, I got lucky. It wasn't too hot down there, but that was a cool town. So if you're in Memphis, shout out. That's a really cool place. Had a good time down there. And Bradley, I think you're headed down there soon, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm going to Memphis next week, which, by the way, I forgot to tell you guys yesterday that you guys are going to have to pinch hit for me for Hump Day Hangouts next week.
All righty.
I'll be here for Mastermind, but I won't be here for Hump Day Hangout. Well, I'll be driving, and I thought about trying to host Hump Day Hangouts while driving, and I thought that was probably not the wisest idea.
Yeah, not a good idea.
Questions while driving isn't smart, so I think I'm going to leave that one to you guys. But yeah, I'll be in Memphis next week. I go down and visit a friend there once every year during the summer. Nice. So it's hot as balls out there, though.
Yeah. Well, do you want to introduce our guest real quick? And then I've got a few announcements but I don't want to keep people in suspense. So do you mind doing the introduction?
Sure, no problem. We've got Pavel on with us, guys. You guys know him from RankWiz and SiteWiz. We've had a webinar with him somewhat recently. But Pavel's got a lot of SEO knowledge. We were really impressed with how much he knows. And so we brought him on as a guest. And Adam mentioned earlier that we haven't brought guests on before. We've brought Roman on recently, who's partners with us in SerpSPACE. But this is kind of like having a guest appearance for the first time on Hump Day Hangout. So we appreciate you coming on, Pavel. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Thanks for having me.
Good. And your audio is much better now, by the way. So.
Well, I know somehow known the problem to me, so that's why I'm so fast to fix it. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Well. With that, I'll turn it back over to Adam. I just want to mention that, Pavel, you're welcome to stay for the entire hour if you'd like, and just kind of contribute in on the questions as we go through them like we typically do. I'm pretty sure you're familiar with our format.
Yeah, I've been I'm a regular listener to your webinars, and excited to be on the other side.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you being here, man. So we'll get to the questions in just a moment. Adam?
Awesome. All right, here we go. So hopefully everybody's seen this. If you haven't been opening your email, so shame on you. But we got the big 4th of July sales going on for both, or not even both, but Semantic Mastery, Mastery PR, and SerpSPACE. So we got some killer deals over there. I know some people have already been taking advantage of several of them. ROIS. But go check it out. I'll pop the link on the page here in a second. And then I just talked to Hernan a little bit before we started, and he's got, I've got my tongue tied. He's headed to get the battle plan updated, because you've probably heard that we've had some update webinars about the battle plan. And then we're also going to refresh the battle plan. So if you bought the battle plan, you're going to get the update. If you haven't yet, you should get the battle plan, because we're going to be updating that. And that's something that, people who have bought it are just going to get it. We're not charging extra for it. But I don't know, Hernan, do you want to add any more to that, or is that?
No, sure. Yeah, I mean, we made a really good webinar with Bradley. Like, it was a 1 hour, almost 2 hours webinar. Yeah, almost 2 hours webinar. It was a really good value webinar where we went through the battle plan step by step. And it was a really in-depth webinar. So right now it's like a whole product. You know, you don't get the PDF only with the blueprint, the battle plan. You get the webinar as a bonus, and you also get the bonus site that has, I don't know, $400, $500 of worth of content in there alone, plus some secret squirrel webinars from Marco that are hosted on that bonus site. So it's I don't know.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a steal. It's ridiculous. So we are charging at this point for that. But anyways, you know, we have been asked for this blueprint, and we deliver, and we wanted you guys to get some extra value, as we always try to over deliver as much as possible. And that's coming. We're gonna be releasing, I think we're gonna be releasing version 1.1 or 1.2 or whatever of battle plan early next week. So all of you guys that purchased will get the new version. All of you guys that didn't purchase, what are you waiting for?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, and just to clarify, you know, we added, the webinar was about 2 hours. It was quite in depth, and then we, you know, there was a presentation slide that I put together that's going to be included in the PDF, as well as all the timestamps, because the webinar basically got timestamped, and then that's what Hernan just sent it over today to our designer to have her go back through and edit and add the timestamps into the PDF, so that when you're going through the PDF, you can just click on the link. It'll take you right to that part of the webinar so that you can see where we've expanded upon that concept from the PDF, if that makes sense. So it's going to be a hell of a lot better, and it's just based on some feedback that we had from some purchasers. And that's why we did that, was to put it together. So, I mean, the value is definitely there. Pick it up now while it's on sale. Otherwise, wait and don't, and then have to get it later when it costs more. So.
Yeah. Fair enough. That's a good summary. I like that. Like, yep, get it now, save some money, or not, pay more. So
pay more later. Yep.
Cool. Also, there's some rumblings. There might be some updates to RYS. I'm just going to leave it at that. I've seen several people take advantage of the kind of crazy offer we got on the 4th of July special for RYS. That was a very smart move.
I just realized how nuts the fucking the friggin' discount is, man. I didn't know it was. Trust me, it will never ever be that low again. It's going up as soon as it gets updated. The price is going up, and so even if we do a discount at some future point, it won't be that low. Fuck that.
Well, I'm not following that. You guys heard it.
I was protesting too.
I didn't even know. Don't even tell me what it was, because it might piss me off then.
All right, so moving right along. Just want to put this out there too. If you're new to Semantic Mastery, first of all, like I say each time, thank you very much for attending Hump Day Hangouts. We appreciate it. We like answering these questions. It's fun for us. We enjoy it. If you haven't yet grabbed the blueprint that we've been talking about, the battle plan, please do that. I'll pop the link on the page. If you don't have an account at SerpSPACE, head over there at SerpSPACE.com. You can get a free account. There's free tools to use, as well as done-for-you services. So, you know, go check it out by all means. There's just about something for everyone at this point. We got a lot of really cool services coming out. And when Roman's back on with us next week or the week after, we'll be updating everybody on what's rolling out. Cool. And that is it. Anybody else got any announcements before we dive in?
No, just last thing I want to mention just quickly is for anybody new watching Hump Day Hangouts. Also, there's a lot of questions on our knowledge base, which is at support.semanticmastery.com. We get a ton of questions all the time that are repeat, like, you know, frequently asked questions. And so we try to catalog most of them on the support site. So always check there as well. And then you guys have Hump Day Hangouts. You can ask questions here, but I would recommend that you or encourage you to go check the knowledge base prior to posting questions, because if it's something that we've answered already many, many times, it's likely there. And if you ask it on Hump Day Hangouts, we're probably going to just point you over to there anyways. So just wanted to kind of clarify that.
And the YouTube channel that has all of the previous Hangouts and their timestamp. So it's really easy to go through them and find what you're looking for.
That's a good point. Go to the YouTube channel and click the little search icon on the channel, like underneath the channel banner, and you can search the channel, and it works pretty well. One of our some of our members talk about how well it is, because we've got, you know, over 1,000 public videos now. I know we've got like 1,600 videos on our channel, but I think only like 1,000 of them are public, but it's a lot. So I would highly encourage you to go check it out there. Okay. With that said, I'm going to get into questions, guys. Can we do that?
Let's do it.
All right. All right. Let's get this going. Wrong one. Okay. Can you all see that fairly well?
Yep. Got your full desktop.
Yeah. Okay. Paul Facey's up. What's up, Paul? This is Bradley. Good to see you finally took some vacation time. Thanks, brother. It was the first time I went to a mountain resort and they didn't have cell phone service at all. And they had Wi-Fi that you had to pay like an arm and a leg for to use. And it's shitty because I never use public Wi-Fi ever. I just don't like to use it. It's insecure. So I went and like I literally unplugged from the Matrix for like 4 days. And that's the longest I think I've ever been unplugged since I started my digital marketing career. So it was kind of weird. It was uncomfortable for the first couple of days. Then I got used to it. And then right after a time I got used to it, I had to come back with a whole bunch of backed up work. So I was just telling her, I'm not sure if vacations are worth it because when you come back, you have a whole bunch of backed up work to do and it's very stressful. So anyways, it was fun for a couple of days. So thanks, Paul. He says, have you tried or noticed any significant changes to your overall AdWords keywords performing using the bid simulator for the campaigns, all campaigns dashboard? Paul, I never use the bid simulator. I do everything manually. Probably just because I never put the time into wanting to test the bid simulator enough to determine whether it was something I'd want to use or not. And the training that I took, which I've been honest about this before, real clear about this, I got my AdWords training primarily from Perry Marshall and you know, his AdWords training programs. And they recommend doing everything manually to begin with. And you can start playing with those as more advanced techniques later on. But I've never gotten to that point because I've learned AdWords to suffice for my needs. And that's the extent of it. Like there's so much advanced stuff you can do with all that. And at some point I may pursue all of that. But for right now, for what I need it for, which was lead gen, local lead gen, and some affiliate campaigns, which are fairly simple, you know, there's not really a whole lot of advanced stuff that you have to do. You can do it, but it's not something you have to do. And I always look at, you know, where is my time best spent? Is it getting into the nitty gritty of AdWords and trying to figure out all the available options to me? Or is it getting it up to where it's producing leads and returning profit and moving on to the next funnel? And for me, I'd rather set up more campaigns, more funnels, and then really try to like hyper optimize one particular campaign, if that makes sense. Now, I could be wrong. I could be missing out on some stuff, but I'm just letting you know my personal opinion on all that. And at some point, if I ever have enough time where I can dig into AdWords even further, I might get into some more of that advanced stuff. Something I'm curious about, but I just don't want to invest the time into it when I've got so many other big projects. You know what I mean? So, okay. In one of your campaigns, I have 100. In one of my campaigns, I have 190 keywords, of which are 90% are eligible with max CPC bid above estimate first page, but with only 7 impressions over the last 60 days. What can I do to try to get more impressions for these keywords? Well, that's a good question. I mean, again, without knowing what the keywords are and the exact, you know, circumstance, it's kind of hard to tell. But if you have, let's say 90% CPC above first page bid. Yeah. So Paul, when I've had ads that don't serve correctly, that like they're just not getting served properly, even with my bid score and everything saying that I should be high enough, is increase your cost per click bid max even more. Sometimes, I mean, go high with it. Google's not like, if you put like, I don't know what range you're working in, but let's just say that your max cost per click right now is set to $10. Okay. Set it to 15. That's a 50% increase. It's not like Google is going to spend that $15 click. But if you go way high on your CPC your max CPC bid, then a lot of times that will earn you a spot in the, you know, it will improve your quality score and it will start getting impressions. And then what you want to do is once you get bumped up to like the top of the page where you'll start getting more clicks, then you start backing it down. You start backing that max cost per click down. In fact, if you get a few clicks, you can look at what your average cost per click is, and you can just keep your max CPC bid just slightly above that. Okay. Now remember, your quality score is going to factor into all of that as well, because there might be other advertisers that have a higher quality score that are paying less per click than you are because they have a higher quality score. And remember, the number one factor for increasing quality score is your click-through rate. And so that, again, having your ad in the proper position is going to also increase the click-through rate. So it's the ad copy itself, but also positioning, the placement of the ad itself, right? Because if you got an ad at the bottom of the page and nobody ever clicks on it, it's getting impressions because that page is loading, but you're not getting clicks because it's at the bottom of the page. That's going to lower your quality score because your click-through rate goes down. So my point is, sometimes you can have really compelling, an awesome ad copy, but it's still not getting click-through rates or any click-throughs because it's not placed where people are seeing it. So you need to increase your CPC bid to get it to go above everybody else until you start getting clicks. Then once you start getting clicks, you can start backing that max CPC down and keep split testing your ad copy until you get the highest click-through rate you can possibly get. And that should level out to where it would keep your quality score high and you'll still get click-throughs, if that makes sense. So sometimes you have to spend some, you have to break some eggs to make an omelet. Does that make sense? So for me with AdWords, I know right up front that the first 30 days of an AdWords campaign, I'm going to lose money. I mean, it's almost guaranteed. I mean, some of the local lead gen stuff that like the ones that I'm familiar with, I can make a campaign profitable in 30 days. But for the most part, or if it's a new industry that I'm not familiar with or new set of keywords or whatever, then a lot of the times I realize going in that about the first 30 days, I'm probably going to lose money. But within the next 30 days, I should start to break even and possibly even become a little profitable. Within 90 days, I should have a solid, profitable campaign that I can run pretty much indefinitely with little maintenance. If that makes sense. Anybody want to comment on that?
No, I think Bradley, you nailed it. Like every AdWords campaign is so unique that you really need to dive into it, because it will definitely, I would say that the way it's set up and the competition and you know, the way your landing page is set up will definitely affect the way it's performing, right? Yeah. So yeah, I would say that you nailed it without having that much how I put it, that much background, if you would, you know.
Yeah, because the click-through rate is, I mean, remember guys, your landing page really only needs a couple of elements for it to pass the quality score test or whatever, where it says, you know, like there's 3 parts to the quality score: the landing page, the ad relevancy, and then the what's the other one? I can't think of it off the top of my head. But my point is the landing page experience is what they call that. Landing page experience, it really doesn't matter. I've experimented with trying to add copy, you know, adding more copy to a page and all these different kinds of things to try to get them to manipulate that landing page experience score. And honestly, I've never been able to like find any direct pattern with like more copy makes it higher and all that kind of stuff. Typically, if you have certain elements on the landing page, that's all that's going to require. But that's not something that will affect your click-through rate. Does that make sense? That will only affect your conversion rate. So it's not something that I worry about until I start worrying about conversion optimization after I've optimized my ad campaigns so that I know that I'm getting clicks. If I know that I'm getting clicks to the landing page and they're not converting, well, the first problem is always getting the clicks, right? So that's why I always focus on ad copy and getting the click-through rate up first. And then, you know, I'll just start off with one landing page, guys. And once I get to where it's the click-throughs, you know, the clicks or click-through rate to where it's an acceptable level for me, then I'll go start working on optimizing the landing page. So anyways, Paul, I know you keep out. It's awesome because you keep pursuing this AdWords stuff. You may end up training us or me at some point about using Bid Simulator and that kind of stuff, because it sounds like you're even getting in a little bit further than I have. So let us know how you're doing with it. Mohammed's up. He says, hey, guys, I've been setting up a revenue share AdWords campaign for a while now, and it's been active since last Tuesday. Search beta. Okay. It's a home building company. My question today is, how long should I wait before change anything or start an alpha campaign? So far, I've gotten 11 clicks, 7 of them relevant, but no conversions. The search volume for this industry is low in my area, and I've only spent about $50 so far. So normally, wouldn't be too worried. But since the home building business gets most buzz in the summer months, I'm getting anxious. At the same time, I don't want to be too hasty and make knee-jerk changes. Yeah, that was kind of the problem, Mohammed. If you went through local Kingpin, I was trying to force the alpha campaigns too quickly for that, and so that's why there's several update videos in local Kingpin, like just clarify, like, you know, explaining exactly that I was trying to force that alpha campaign too quickly. And I know exactly what you're talking about in the building industry, the home building industry. Mohammed, I'm working in that industry right now as well, and I know it's like you don't get a flood of traffic for those keywords. So, and even in some bigger cities, I'm still not getting a lot of traffic, not like I do for like tree services, for example, which is just like crushing it during the summer months. So I understand, but the thing is those leads, you got to remember, consider those leads. Like an average kitchen remodeling job on the low end is about $20,000. So a $20,000 kitchen remodel lead, like, you know, you don't need very many leads to be able to do really, really well, or to produce a few leads for the business to do really, really well. So although we don't get, you know, 25, 30 leads a month, just a handful of leads a month is okay, especially if the contractor has any decent closing ratio. You're doing revenue share, which is what I recommend doing. And that is, you know, something that you need to consider, because it is high margin. I don't know what your agreement is on the revenue share side of things, like, but you know, it's very, very lucrative. And I know for remodeling type leads, or like home building, general contractor, those type of leads, you're talking about some fairly large contract prices. So if you're on revenue share, you could be making a pretty penny per lead generated, or at least per closed lead if you're doing revenue share, right? And so again, I would be more patient, Mohammed, which is what I learned through the whole local kingpin process, was to be patient and allow, like, you have to identify, or you have to determine what the threshold is to decide what or to, you know, to prove an alpha campaign. What I mean by that is, I don't think 11 clicks with only 7 of them being relevant is enough, unless it was an exact match term on all 7 of those clicks that generated that, or, you know, an exact match keyword that you generated the click from, in which case I would say, well, that's probably good enough to set up an alpha campaign. But my guess is 7 of your relevant clicks, they're probably all not the same search query. They're probably somewhat similar, but not the exact same search query. So give it some time. Like I said, with something like tree services, I might want to wait till I have 30 clicks and then look at the data from the search query report and determine, like, out of those 30 clicks, I might have, you know, 8 clicks, which would be almost, you know, 25% of them for an exact match keyword, in which case I would turn that into an alpha campaign, a single keyword ad group for an alpha campaign, if that makes sense. All right. But for remodeling, it might take you 3 months to get, or, you know, home building, remodeling, that kind of, they're all general contractors. They're all kind of relatively the same. And it might take you, you know, 2 or 3 months to get 30 clicks. So you might want to lower the threshold a little bit, but really the idea is just be patient, continually look at your search query report, and you'll start to identify keywords that are consistently being queried and clicked. And those are the ones that you want to create the alpha campaigns for, but just be patient. Okay. All right. Anybody want to comment on that? Probably not. We can get out of AdWords, I think, now. All right, cool. Columbia's up. Columbia's awesome. She's here all the time, and she's always very engaged. So once again, thanks for being here, Columbia. She says, if a client wants you to promote a video, which you want to do on your own channel, but they already have it uploaded to YouTube on their own channel, do you need to have them remove it from their channel before you upload it to your channel? It would seem you would get duplicate content strike if you upload a video already on someone else's channel. No, Columbia, that's untrue. You can upload the same video to as many channels as you want. Now, you might end up like, if YouTube may. I've never had any issues with it. Look, let me explain. When I've taken somebody else's video, downloaded it, and then uploaded it on my channel without their permission, I've had a you know, copyright strike, or a, you know, somebody's reported the channel, that kind of stuff. I've had that issue happen. But when you clear it with your client, and you say, listen, my channel is built up such that I can download your video, upload it to my channel. You can keep it on your channel too, Mr. Client, Mr. Business Owner. But, you know, I'm going to upload it to my channel as well, because my channel is built out and it has the authority, blah, blah, blah. It's going to help it to get more exposure. And as long as you clarify that with them, you're going to have no issue whatsoever with uploading that same video to as many YouTube channels as you want. However, you can avoid even having to do that if you set up the YouTube like recipes. And those are in Syndication Academy in the updates. One of the last 2 or 3 months, I went through the like recipes again, on how, or like applets, I should call them. And you can just go like that video on the client's channel from your syndication channel, and it will syndicate their video through your network. I still recommend, though, however, that you would upload it to your own channel, because that gives you ultimate control. If you just go set up with the like applets, like I'm mentioning, to send, you know, and trigger a syndication through your network because of that like applet, then you're basically boosting their video on their channel. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but you guys know how we talk about always trying to maintain control as much as possible. And so that's why I recommend always downloading and uploading. Just clear it. Make sure that you get permission from the business owner first. Right? I've had people question, why would I want to do that when it's already on their channel? And then I explain to them, because my channel's built up. My channel has all the syndication networks attached, everything that needs to be done to get more exposure to your video. I don't talk about rankings much unless that's what they want to hear about, but I talk about more exposure. And then if they say, well, why can't you do that on my channel? I say, I certainly can, but it's going to cost 3 times as much or whatever. Like I'll quote them 3 times what I quoted them originally, because I'll tell them, because you don't have all the infrastructure in place that I do. Does that make sense? So, and every time, I have never once in the 4 years now that I've been doing this for, you know, like this type of stuff with YouTube videos for clients, I've never one time had a client come back and say, oh, you know what? I'll pay the extra to have you optimize it on my channel. Never once. So I don't think you'll have anything to worry about. Okay. Also, how does this work if a marketer has it up on that marketer's channel, but they don't want to take it down, or the client does not want to ask the other marketer to take it down? Is it feasible to promote a video already up on someone else's channel instead of putting it up on your own channel? I strongly prefer the control of having it on my channel. Thanks. Yeah, you could, but again, I would never do anything to benefit a competitor, which it sounds like maybe they had another marketing agency or, you know, consultant or whatever doing some work for them. Yeah, I mean, you can call, you could do some outreach and ask if they could take it down. I don't know that they'll honor it, but if they're decent people, they should. I wouldn't worry about it. I'd just leave it up, but I'd just download it and upload it to my own channel, Columbia. I like the path of least resistance, guys. I like easy. So I try to avoid all that crap if I don't have to, like trying to outreach and all that other stuff. Like, hey, would you mind taking the video down? Blah, blah. No, for me, just leave it up. What harm's it doing? In my opinion. In fact, I'd probably go find a video, make a comment with the link to your video on your channel in that video. See if it doesn't get filtered out. Right? All right, cool. Brian's up. Hey, Bradley, would it be a bad idea to set up an expired domain to auto post using RSS feeds similar to the way Tier 2 syndication networks work? I know the Web 2 sites can get away with auto posting from RSS, but I've never tried on a self-hosted WordPress site. Yes, Ryan, you certainly can. You certainly can on a self-hosted WordPress site. That's not, I mean, you can. I don't know why. I mean, you can do, like, years ago when I did a lot of PBN stuff, we had a lot of automated PBNs that we would do stuff like that with. I don't typically like to do that so much for anymore, but you can do that. It's possible. Anybody want to comment on this stuff? Pablo, you want to jump in on some of these, man?
Because we do content creation, so I will back you on. So I'm not a big fan. Like, not to say I probably not be correct to say that I'm not a big fan of RSS publishing or auto posting. But of course, the relevancy is the critical nowadays, and just general content. Well, depending on the purpose you serve, if you want to fill out the content to your blog or your network so that RSS will work, and I guess the concern here is duplicate content. So it works very well. So they mix in a big chunk of content, but to build an authority. And Bradley, you said you don't build PBNs any longer. And of course, I work with those who continue building PBNs. And the advice here is to rank PBNs. So the authority of the domain doesn't work alone any longer. And to get this site authority, you need to rank your PBN. And in order to rank your PBN, you can't really post generic content. So, so that's the answer. So, if you want to keep it alive, if you want to fill it in with the content and to maybe get more indexed, yeah, you can post general RSS. But if you want to get build the site authority, get it ranking, so that would not be enough.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I don't like to do the whole automated posting stuff anymore for PBNs that, especially tier 1 stuff, guys. I think it's really important if you're going to be doing that kind of stuff that it should be out beyond tier 2 or even tier 3 maybe, because it's, to me, I don't like that automated anything pointing anywhere near my money site anymore. I think that's something that within the next, I can't predict this, but and we've been thinking this for years now, to be honest with you, but at some point that's going to become a really, really negative ranking factor. It is such now, but there's still ways to get kind of around it. But I think its days are numbered, is my point. And so I recommend that if you're going to be doing that kind of stuff, Ryan, that you would stick with that for like YouTube networks. If you're trying to add relevancy to YouTube networks, that's a powerful strategy for that, because we don't have the issues that we do with self-hosted sites. But if you're doing this kind of stuff to like build relevancy to a money site, I would recommend that you would keep that several tiers out. Okay. Okay, Columbia's up again. She says, I have an excellent prospect in a very high ticket tech industry. We're discussing PPC.
Hey, Bradley?
Yeah.
So I'll just 1 second comment. So since you said that you believe that it's the automated content is at number of days, so probably express opposite. So the automated content is the future of internet content, and so
well, let me clarify then. What I meant was just republishing other people's stuff. Like,
okay, so I'm back. So yeah, I backed up. So yeah, the republishing in the way it works, especially in the way it worked, it still works for local, and so many systems abuse it with the plugin names, few tokens, just changing literally name of the city and
right.
Stuff. That one will die. So I'm surprised that it's still not. I don't know which part of the local algorithm still keep it alive, because it doesn't work anywhere but in local, and it just number of days. I agree. It's only in a few, just limited time before the Google will crack on this. I don't know. There's something in local addition that make the content work differently than everywhere else.
Yeah, but I mean, even so, I totally agree with you, because we've had people for years now say that they for local sites and lead gen sites and such, that they just swap out the city names and they just duplicate the same damn site. And I know that works. I haven't done it though. For years, I haven't done that, because I've always expected at some point that to stop working. And like you just said, Pablo, I'm really surprised it still works in the local algorithm.
There are a few things that overdue to be banned. It's like, remember a lot like the exact name domains? Like people still work, it still works, but like generally it doesn't. Right, it's just there's some fraction of this, but it was overdue. Like every year there was a prediction. The longer the exact name domains will stop working. When it stopped working, like nobody was surprised. Like everyone was kind of expecting it for a long time. That the local content, which is pretty much duplicate content, it's one of those. Like everyone knows that it will stop working, and there will be no surprise by then. And we'll just go, you know what? All those thousands and thousands of pages sites that will be indexed in no time.
Yep, totally agree. Okay, cool. All right, so let me get back to Columbia's question. She says, I have an excellent prospect in a very high ticket tech industry. We are discussing PPC, SEO, and content marketing. I will be using lots of networks and other resources from Semantic Mastery and SerpSPACE. I'll +1 that. What would be the best order of implementing the 3 areas of PPC, SEO, and content marketing, giving the resources I can access with Semantic Mastery and SerpSPACE, and what services should I include to give a highly visible result quickly for the client? My go-to, Columbia, would be start off with PPC. Like, focus all of your attention and energy on the PPC campaign for the first few weeks just to get it set up. You can get high visibility results quickly with AdWords. Plus, that will give you data. Will show you the keywords that you're getting the most traffic from, the most clicks from. You'll be able to start optimizing for conversions. Then once you have all that data that the PPC campaign can provide you, you can start working on SEO and content marketing campaign using the keywords and the queries that were identified through AdWords. The reason I say that is because for forever and ever, I never did any AdWords stuff. and I would just go in and I would do market research and keyword research and all that kind of stuff. And I would think that I would know what the best converting keywords would be and all that other kind of crap. And I would start my SEO campaigns and content marketing, which is one and the same in my opinion now, SEO and content marketing. And I would be targeting keywords that just didn't convert very well, or just didn't really provide the traffic that I was looking for, because people were looking for other keywords and other search queries. And until I started using AdWords, I didn't realize how much money I was leaving on the table by not identifying the proper keywords right up front. AdWords will give you that ability to identify the keywords right up front. You'll know, because you'll be spending money on keywords and clicks. Some of them will do a lot better than others. And the 80-20 rule absolutely applies, where 80% of your traffic will come from 20% of your keywords. And in fact, sometimes it's more like 90-10, you know? And so my point is, you don't want to be spending a whole bunch of time focusing on all these other keywords, except for, you know, for content marketing, it makes sense to focus on long tail terms. But my point is, start with where your high volume traffic and high converting keywords are first. And then you can start working your way down from there as far as going towards longer tail kind of stuff for content marketing. But if you build your foundation, you start with those keywords that you know are going to give you the most traffic and going to convert the best, your best performing keywords, in other words. You start with those and you focus your SEO attention on that and your content marketing on that. You're going to get the most bang for your buck, and you'll avoid spending time and energy and money on keywords that aren't going to produce for you. So again, I highly recommend you starting off with PPC. I've mentioned this many times on Hump Day Hangouts, guys. For most campaigns now, especially if I don't already have a really good understanding of the industry, I don't even start with SEO anymore, unless I'm doing some spam stuff with like YouTube. But for the most part, if I'm going to go through the trouble of setting up a website or a ClickFunnels, you know, funnel or something like that, I'm going to set up an AdWords campaign to start with, and then I'm going to run, you know, a few $100s in traffic through it first before I start even developing my SEO campaign. And that's just so that I know what data, I know where the real traffic is. Go ahead.
If I can add something, Bradley, I love this approach from Colombia. Way to go, Colombia, because you're approaching with all of the tools that you have. And I think we talked briefly about this on the last mastermind, like how you can position yourself from an SEO or whatever into a consultant, right? Into a traffic and business growth consultant. And I think this is a great approach by Colombia, because he's saying, okay, I can use PPC, I can use SEO, I can use content marketing, you can use email marketing. You have all of these little tools, or little or large tools, but you have all of these tools to your disposal right now that you can use, right, to bring the client results. That's how you position yourself in a way that you know, you don't have to choose either or, but you can use all of your tools in the arsenal that you have so that you can bring results fast and then sustain those results and make them grow in time. That's how you get the big bucks. That's how you charge 10 times more than you're currently charging for your clients, right? Because you have all of these tools. The main point of everything that we're doing, Semantic Mastery and SerpSPACE, is that you have pretty much a one-stop shop for all of these little for all of these tools that you need to grow a business, not just to get more traffic from Google, or not just to get more traffic from Facebook or AdWords, right? But literally to grow a business. And this is how you do it. You go all in with all of your tools and you apply them as you see fit. I totally agree with Bradley. Start with a PPC campaign, and then you start developing, at the same time, you start developing content marketing and SEO, because that's going to kick you know, 3 or 6 months down the road. In the meantime, you have all of this data that you can use in terms of conversions, in terms of keywords, in terms of product pricing, upsells. There's a bunch of things that you can offer, and that's why I love this question. And that's why I think that you know, if you're struggling when it comes to approaching clients, if you're positioning yourself as an SEO, or you know, just know that you can go bigger, broader. And you can use all of these tools to actually bring more leads or more results. Nowadays, we approach, every time I approach a client, or every time we as a team, as Semantic Mastery, approach a project, we say, okay, we're going to start with this and that and that and that, and we bring results that allow us to leverage all of this knowledge that, you know, and the experience. And that's exactly how you guys should be thinking if you want to grow your business you know, over the next 1 to 2 years.
Yeah, and last just part of that is as far as like, you know, if you start with PPC and start identifying the keywords where the traffic is, that kind of stuff, then you can start developing your content marketing and your SEO plan, and that's pretty straightforward because that's, I mean, outlined in like the battle plan, for example, exactly what we would do for that, as far as the steps. But you know, obviously, it makes sense to first identify where the traffic is anyways before going through all that. And again, that's why I had for many years just done it kind of backwards, because I never wanted to learn AdWords. It was just something I didn't want to do, and I was always really able to get a lot of success from SEO anyways without needing to learn it. But as SEO continues to become more and more complex, you know, more and more ranking factors that we have to take into account, all of that, to me, I don't want to spend a lot of energy on attention on something that unless I already know like it's going to be successful beforehand. And the only way that I can know that now, without setting up a campaign and then like hoping for the best, if I just started with SEO, would be to start with PPC. And just know, again, it's just, if you understand that you're going to throw a few $100s in traffic at something up front, and just expect to be pissing that money away. I mean, essentially you're not, because it's research. So you're just spending money on research, right? That's the way I look at it. Is it's R&D, it's research and development. So I don't mind spending some money up front, knowing that it's going to identify and make my job easier down the road. So, okay, Greg's up. He says, best method to add a link to Google Maps to a press release via press cable. Greg, I would say the same as any other press release service. You just link to the map. What I mean, you can use anchor text because it's a Google map, not a website, remember? So you can use the short URL or the long URL. I typically just shrink it down to the short URL for the map, the Google map, because you know, it's just prettier. And the other one's like dumb long with like @ signs and all kinds of stuff in it. So I usually just shrink it down to the short URL. But then you know, you can do either an anchor text link, or you could do a naked URL, whatever you want, but just add the link. You can't embed it. I don't think any press release service that I know of, at least none that I've tested, will allow you to embed a map, but you can link to it. And again, I don't hesitate to use anchor text links on those, because they're you know, because it's a Google property. So
if I can just add I'm going to drop a little nugget in here for people. Make sure that if you're going to a map URL, that you're using the 301 version of the map. Google has several versions. Some of them are 302s, and they won't pass anything. You know, you'll throttle it right there if you use that link. But if you go in and find, I'm not going to tell you how this. You have to go figure it out for yourself. But if you go in and find the 301 version of the map, shorten that, and then you're good to go.
Or just grab the long URL and shorten it through the Google shortener. You can do that too. You know. Same thing. So, yeah, I haven't seen that.
But the thing is, the long URL is sometimes a 302.
Oh, really?
It depends on which one you're grabbing.
Right. Okay. That's curious. You know, that's curious, because I don't look at those every time. So that might be something I have to add into my checklist before doing it. So that's a good point, Marco. Thank you. All right. Keep moving. We only have a few questions left anyway. So. Quit This House says, will this trigger a duplicate penalty? I have an article I want to spin it and then convert it into a video, syndicate that video, then embed the video into the article and syndicate the article. Look, the duplicate penalties only occur on the same domain. So I don't know specifically what you're asking about. Like, are you talking about syndicating that article to a bunch of different properties and that causing an issue? That's not the issue. The issue is when you have duplicate content on the same domain. So I don't know. You know, again, it's kind of hard to, because I'm not sure where you're talking about using this. Like, where are you worried about a duplicate penalty? Are you worried about that from it being on the same article being syndicated on other properties? Because if so, I wouldn't worry about that, because that is essentially what the Syndication Academy method is all about. Syndicating. Now, remember, you're supposed to give proper attribution to the original source, wherever it was originally published. If it's a spun article, as long as it's the same version, not like a different spun version on each different property, then you can cite the original source, right? But if you spin it before it gets published on other locations, to where it's a different version of the article, then you don't want to attribute or cite the source because it's a different article at that point. I don't like to use spun content on anything anywhere near money sites. That's kind of what we were talking about earlier with automated content as well. And what I mean by automated is, again, I mean like just republished stuff. You know, other than my own content from my own syndication network. Does that make sense? So again, I don't recommend that you, if you're doing spun stuff, I mean, if it's purely for SEO stuff, you like churn and burn, whatever, do whatever, you know, but I'm saying like, I always look at I try to always treat my websites as long-term assets. And so that's something I don't like to do. Obviously we'll use a lot of spun content and stuff on, you know, many tiers out, but Marco's been seeing in the lab recently, that, you know, Google's looking back several tiers now. And so I'm even kind of concerned about doing a lot of that stuff anywhere, you know, 2, 3, 4 tiers out. So anyways, I don't know if that was a really good answer for that question, guys, but it's kind of hard because I'm not really sure what he's asking about here.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, unless he's talking, if he's saying that the spun version of the article is going to be the video.
Yeah.
If that's the case, then no. If you're going to make it a video, why would it be a problem since it's on video?
Yeah,
Google's not that sophisticated yet where it's reading video.
This is how I got it too. That's if it's case that, yes, of course, it's not a duplicate content. If it's the same content in the video.
Yeah. Okay, cool. We're almost done. Sky says, and we're almost at time too, so this is going to be good timing today. He says, can you provide any insight on a low authority website that randomly started ranking for a big phrase that was totally unsuspected? The ranking held for a few months and then dropped to page 3 or 4 for the past 90 days. Engagement signals, CTR is the only thing I can think of. No backlinking was done to the page, and not much backlinking has been done to the website. Not much internal traffic going to that page, and no social signals to that page. Yeah, I mean, that would be my first guess, Sky. I think that's a pretty logical assumption, is to think that engagement signal / CTR, click-through rate, is the only thing. I know we've been playing with some testing. I know Marco's seen it, I've seen it, and Roman from SerpSPACE, he's done a lot of testing, and we've all seen you be able to the ability to rank on engagement signals alone in Google now, which is insane. I mean, even for some highly trafficked terms too, which is nuts. Now, again, the stickability, the stick rate of that is such that that's where that creates a problem, right? If you get a bunch of engagement, unless it's sustained without traditional SEO, like the links and the stuff that we normally would do, that ranking can start to subside, right? It can start to drop. That's what I've noticed. But a lot of the times, and that's why, like, guys, we use CT spam tools, right? Click-through spam tools, in which, by the way, like, you know, we're working on a case study for that in the mastermind to test various CT spam tools. And anyways, we'll have more on that in the coming weeks, because we got a test in progress right now. But the whole point of that is to start to get those engagement signals to help it to that listing to rank, right? To rise in the ranks, in which case you can start to back the artificial traffic off, because it should be generating more natural traffic based upon its ranking position, right? And so, but the problem occurs when if it's kind of like a trending term or something that's viral or hot at the moment, like those type of things, you can rank those on engagement signals alone because they get a lot of viral activity, right? But then when that cycle has passed or whatever, and it's no longer a hot term, and the traffic declines, that's when you can start to see it drop, unless you are sustaining it with additional CTs and engagement signals, or doing traditional SEO stuff like backlinking to it and that kind of stuff, which can help it to stick. At least that's been my experience. I've been playing a lot with the last few weeks, and I know I've talked about this, but with press releases. And I notice a lot of that same kind of stuff applies with press releases. A press release will get published, various versions of the published press release, or, you know, different media sites that it's been published to, will rank. And that stuff is very fluid. It shifts around from day to day, which ones are top ranked and that kind of stuff. What I found is by sending traffic, if you select one of them and then you send traffic to it, and I'm even sending Fiverr traffic gigs to press releases right now, guys. Again, I'm going to be doing a whole bunch of training on press releases in the coming weeks. Like, we'll probably create another course for Semantic Mastery or Mastery PR about it, based upon all the testing that I'm doing. But I'm even taking Fiverr gigs from traffic or traffic gigs from Fiverr, excuse me, and sending those to press releases and getting them to stick. I mean, I'm talking weeks later, they're still ranked. And so again, personally, I think if based upon your question, Sky, or your comment, I would think that it would be CT, click-through rate and so engagement signals, but without, obviously analyzing a little bit further, I couldn't tell. What do you guys think?
I'll jump in. So it might be internal structure. So the silo usually refer to the well-thought architecture, but any internal linking is in some way of structure. So let's say if you get a link, like again, we're not seeing the site, but you might have a link with from the high authority inner page, and the page itself, let's say homepage. It might be not ranking for this term because the Google now assessing the content. But the page itself, the high authority page, internally linked to other page that Google considers to be very valuable for the specific term, and that might be another factor to what adds to the ranking of the page. Well, there are no external links built to the page. Although I will also support that the engagement is extremely important nowadays.
Yep. Yeah, well, quite a shift in how the algorithm works, guys, in just the past few months. I mean, we've seen a lot of shifts in how different things that we can manipulate for ranking signals. And it's in Google's attempt, as always, to try to reduce spam. But, it's our job to figure out how to spam what they tell us can't be spammed. You know what I mean? So, Mark, want to comment on that? Okay, he must be muted. I'm sorry, Pavel, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was about to say a bit about engagement and interactions more. It seemed to be that that my view on this is Google was building links and will be building links, but how they view links is changing and evolving over time. So it started with a simple link, then they were using like anchor text as an indication what kind of type of link it is. Then they moved into analyzing the content more and more, so they now can tell the context of the page, linking page, and how relevant it is to the site it is promoting. So when they try to remove a lot of link spam, they move into the domain authority, and this is where we see this was the factor that helped like early PBNs kind of dominate the link building. And the next step, the current step, is just evolution of how they treat links. They have engagement as a multiplier to the value of the link. So many view traffic as still kind of in a way of traffic to your specific site. But it's engagement through all of your links. Like you built, like in the past, you built 200, 300 links. And depending on the domain authority, that every link will have on value, and it will be combined value of linking profile. We can view exactly the same now in terms of engagement and traffic. So the page that has linked to your site get engagements, and very often it's not necessarily even click through to your site. Although click through is great. Any interactions with the page containing the link becoming the value multiplier to the link. When Google said that they were going to kill, they will stop penalizing PBM, well, any sites penalizing links, I think this is exactly what they meant. Since they shifted towards measuring interactions with the page, they said we're going to ignore them in the real time. How it is? Like no interactions with the page, no click-through, and no any activities on the site, no value. There's a spike in interactions, spike in activity. The link has a lot of value. Time goes on, so the page goes in archive. Nobody visits the page. It's just naturally losing the value. There will be the huge if they continue with it, like not if they are moving to this direction because they have so much of the data from Chrome, from Google Analytics, from Android, from all over, and it's just natural way ignoring like 80% of the links, and they've been chasing to analyze every link for way so long. Now they're going to be just ignoring it.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's interesting to see, like I said, to see how it's evolving, guys, and it's kind of fun, this cat and mouse game that we play, and it's becoming even more tricky, so to speak. But it's
Bradley, I don't know if you since you mentioned the study, I didn't know you do study. So we released a couple of months ago, a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks ago, our the version of interaction and activity simulator.
Yeah, you know, I saw you have your traffic tool now inside of RankWiz or whatever, and what Pavel, just so you know, the CT spam test that we're doing is going to run in phases. We got the first phase running now, but once the winner has been identified from that, we're going to compare that against a few other tools, and yours is already in queue to be one of the next tools we test. So,
because we have a variety of campaigns, and the premise of the idea we built in our tool is not specifically sending traffic to a specific page. That was working 8-10 years ago when the early CTR simulators were like searching Google and clicking through, because Google were mostly relying on the activity. Like, I mean, way before RankBrain, Google would measure interactions only specific to search results, and CTR simulators were popular like 8 years ago. Mm-hmm. But the approach was all kind of the same, and the traffic ended up on the same page through the one property, Google search, and that's great. And now when there are variations of different traffic sources, it could be perceived mainly by literally sending traffic to your site, which is not what we put in the concept of our traffic simulator. As I said, so if you look at the traffic interaction with any of your backlinks as a value multiplier, it means that you're not going to raise the value of the link by the many times sending traffic, but the same as compound effect. If like you have several tiers links, and you can raise like by 10% the value of the link, to combine the effect of the linking profile will grow tremendously. So we send traffic because we have all the link building stuff. We send traffic. We have several campaigns, including visit and click. And so our concept is specifically sending interactions to everything that is linking to your site.
It's awesome. All right, we got to wrap it up, guys. The last thing, let's see. Paul says, "Hey, Bradley, I've been running a test between a responsive WordPress theme versus responsive HTML pages, and I'm seeing a little boost with my campaigns. Also, when I test page speed with Google Page Tester," which, by the way, Paul, the Google Page Speed Tester is junk. Maybe try like GT Metrics or something, or Ping. What is the other one? Pingdom. Something like that to check page speed. I know the Google tester. We had Clint Butler on, one of our mastermind members, do a guest presentation in one of our mastermind webinars. I don't know, about a month and a half ago, and he's like he's a savant when it comes to page speed stuff. He's awesome, and he was talking about the Google Page Speed Tester being junk. So check that out. Just check out like GT Metrics and stuff like that. It should help. Okay. All right, guys, we got to wrap it up. It's 5 o'clock. There's no other webinars today. I think we're good until next week. Am I right? Do we have anything scheduled between now and next week?
Looking right now. Let's see what we got. Nope, we are good.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, everybody enjoy the week. We'll see you all next week. Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Pavel, for being here.
Bye, man.
Thanks, Pavel.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, everyone.
All right.
Thanks, guys.